America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to welcome everybody to the June 27th meeting of the Revere Traffic Commission. I'm going to take things out of order. Mr. Mayor, would you like to approach the podium and speak on the issue of the meters at this time? Or if you're here on something else, whatever you want to take up at this time.
Mr. Chairman, no. Thank you very much. The issue that I'm here specifically for is Section 4, which has to do with the on-street parking meter zones. What I'm looking to do is replace these meters with signage that allows for 2-hour parking, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I would like that, this currently says Monday through Friday, I'd like it to say Monday through Saturday. And that really is the only issue that I am here for right now. We're trying, as you know, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, to try to make City Hall and our Central Business District a little more user-friendly. A lot of people today aren't carrying change in their pockets anymore. Very hard to keep running in and out with quarters. So I think if we give them this ability to park for at least a couple hours, whether it's over at the post office or some of these local businesses here, might start to send a good signal out to the business community that we are, and really to our residents, that we're trying to be a little more user-friendly. We're not going to let commuters park there for hours and hours on end to jump on the bus and then onto a train for a full day at work. But I think that people should be allowed to run in and out of a business, whether, as I say, at City Hall, the post office, some of these local businesses right here in our Central Business District, without being penalized. But certainly we're not condoning or encouraging people to stay there for long periods of time, and it would be my hope that the business owners themselves would really not take advantage of the situation by moving their cars around one side of the street to the other. I mean, this really is as a convenience to customers and people that are visiting the establishments around the area. So I feel as though that this is a good start, and it still allows for enforcement. So, with the 2-hour provision, and as I say, I think it sends a very, very positive signal as to the direction that our city would like to go in. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, I'm going to hear the proponents on Section 4, people who are in favor of the change in the parking regulation. Councilor Guanasso.
I'd like to be recorded in favor, based on the fact that many residents come to City Hall to do their business, and I don't think they should be punished or victimized by the meters all over the place and paying additional monies. They don't want to come in and pay their water bills and tax bills anyway, so why get them on the outside before they even get in? So let's help them a little bit and make it accessible to all of them.
Any more proponents, people who are in favor of this change? Seeing, hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing and open it up to people who are opposed to the change. Anybody opposed? Seeing, hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing and open it up to the members of the commission. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Motion is passed. As amended by the mayor to add the Saturday. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Guanasso, I know you're here with representatives from your neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I take it you're up on here on Section 2?
I'm here on Section 2. Initially, we had suggested to this commission we do various one-ways in the whole neighborhood off of Revere Street, adjacent to the Parvia School. But subsequent to that, in speaking with the neighborhood, they were pretty 50-50 on the issue, and it would have been led to a lot of confusion, I believe, initially. So, in lieu of all that, I offer a very simple, no cost effective, nothing proposal that and the sign that when you exit the parking lot at the Parvia School reads left turn only. Now, during the initial phases of the meetings in preparation for the new Parvia School, every single meeting that I attended, and also area residents who attended that are here this evening, we were all led to believe it'd be a right turn only, meaning it's so simple, it's mind-boggling, that once you exit the parking lot, you simply take a right. You don't infiltrate the whole neighborhood, going down Roosevelt Street, going onto Washington Street, going up either McKinley or Cleveland. Why should those cars exiting the Parvia School traverse all those residential areas when all they merely have to do is go right up Roosevelt Street? It's so simple and cost-effective. I think you could put that sign up tomorrow, and we could have that enforcement on Monday. It's as simple as that. But irrespective of that, beside that, that's initially the way it was proposed. That's initially the way it was supposed to be. And every meeting I attend, and I attended all of them for the Parvia School, it was always a right turn only. In the last minute, someone decided within their wisdom to turn left and create all that traffic for all those area residents. Unfair, completely unfair. We were doing this with a concept of putting enough parking spots in there so that you would alleviate the traffic on Roosevelt and across the street of the people parking on Bossum Street, and give the people of the immediate area of Parvia School a little relief that they deserve. They put up with the daily occurrence of all the traffic that's going there, but that's a given. That's the Parvia School. It's been there for 100 years, and we're all aware of that. But what we should do is make it as comfortable and livable for the area residents as possible. And I think merely placing a right-hand turn only sign it's absolutely brainless. I mean, that's the thing to do. And I beg of you to do that, and I ask that it be done as soon as possible so those people enjoying the summer activities there can get used to it, so it'll be in packed and ready to go when we open schools at the end of August. And again, area residents here are willing to testify to it. There are many, many more residents that are at home that are in agreement with this. In fact, they're all in agreement who live there. There's not one individual who objects to having one right turn only sign there. So do something for the neighborhood, and we really would appreciate that. Thank you.
May I just,
Chief.
Sergeant Janino, can we legally do it? I mean, I agree with you.
You can
but-
legally do it. I spoke with the superintendent the other night.
No, not the schools, but you're making it a right turn only, but it's still a two-way street.
It's a two-way street, but
Right.
when they exit.
I understand that.
Only when they exit it's facing the
but
exit.
I agree with you, Counselor.
Yes, I know, and I came before this board. I agree, and I was the one that asked this board do that for the Lincoln School on Graves Road, and appreciate that. But this is completely different. This was in the concept in the building platform of the school. For someone in there, maybe they made a mistake when they did. I don't know. Maybe it was unintended. But for the life of me, I don't understand why we're even thinking about it. It's just a simple sign, right turn only, as you exit the parking lot. Simple.
The chief answered the question, so I'm all set.
Well, what I brought up was that we have precedents with respect to restricted traffic patterns, such as at Blanchard's, there's a no left turn sign there. It's a two-way street, but we're directing traffic to not turn left. Harris Street is a two-way street coming off of American Legion, but there's a do not enter sign. So there is a precedence set with signage. So I think that, yeah.
And the Blanchard one is an accident waiting to happen because I've asked that a pole be installed also with right turn only. I asked for the arrow to go that way because the sign across the street from Blanchard's, it's like, it's after the fact. Okay, I see it after the fact.
So
And
what do we, so we're just going to remove?
just remove that sign and plate
no,
right turn
no, no.
only.
Section 2, we have to.
Yeah, Section 2, I asked that it be withdrawn. Amended by right turn only. Exiting the Parvia School parking lot, absolutely.
So we can get on and properly proceed. So you're speaking here as a proponent to change section 2 to amend it to right turn only exiting the Parvia School. Is that correct?
Absolutely, correct.
Are there any other proponents?
I have a couple others.
My name is Ralph DeChico, 49 Washington Street. Like Arthur Guanasso, I was at all those meetings also. For a question of legality, also for the sign, it was originally supposed to be the other way, and it was changed for the other direction without legally notifying anybody, so I don't think there would be a legal issue on that. Also, the other question that we had is I have the map here on the corner of Roosevelt Street and Revere Street. The other thing that I think should be done, and I think it is a city ordinance or a state ordinance, that you're not supposed to be able to park so close to an intersection. From the top corner of Roosevelt Street by Revere Street, I really think there should be signs there that there should be no parking between the two signs, because it is a main intersection there on it, especially that it's a two-way street. I don't know if there was ever signs there and they were taken down, but I think that would also help over there, that you have no parking on the Bianco side of Roosevelt Street, because I thought it was 20 feet from an intersection, but I may be wrong. The other thing too is some of these signs would have to be changed also coming out of the parking lot. I would possibly make them all do not enters, so that everybody does have to come Dela Russo Way, so we won't get the stragglers that will try and come up. Because once we get the flow of the traffic that way, it's going to be a lot easier. Plus, I know Sergeant Giannino mentioned at the last meeting that we couldn't vote on it, that possibly that traffic light that's in front of the school possibly could be moved over to that corner, but I don't know if that's still on the table or not.
Since you're on that subject, I've been in contact with a guy that does our signalization. That is going to cause a problem there because of the crosswalk as well as the light. So we are working on that. To move that light would be an extreme cost to the city. So we'll try to work around that issue, because there is also there's a handicapped issue as well, where the light is at that school. I don't know how it got by, but there's no handicap
space.
Accessibility on that corner.
Right.
When they put the final fencing up at the front of the school, it should have been pushed back so that you had accessibility there. So I don't know how that got by, but that should not be as well.
Okay. And I don't know if was there an issue still with the school buses or anything? I know.
I'll leave that up to Sergeant Giannino.
Okay.
Sergeant Giannino.
There's going to be a big issue with school buses. I would recommend, if you're pulling the sign out, don't restrict the turn either right or left. Let them go up or down the street. Because you're going to have all these cars going to that corner, with all these kids coming to the corner at the same time, with school buses pulling at the same time, and also with the special needs buses pulling at the same time. All to that same corner.
I think the problem that I see is that when we initially started this whole thing, it was the neighbors were promised a certain quality. The neighbors were promised a certain quality of life issue as it pertains to traffic flows in the neighborhood, that the school was not going to impact them in a negative fashion. And I think we all understand that it has, so that we need to at least try something to accommodate the people who live in the neighborhood, because you're not just affecting people on Roosevelt Street.
It's all the
You're affecting
streets.
people
Cleveland.
on Washington Street and Cleveland Street and,
And
you know,
McKinley.
so you're impacting an entire neighborhood as opposed to one street. So, I mean, after, you know, paying a little attention to this, going down, see what's going on, I understand what your comments, Sergeant, you know, but I'm leaning towards in favor of the neighborhood and changing the signage. But that's just, I'm only one of, you know, members of the commission, so I'd like to hear from the other members.
We do have a crossing guard at that corner,
Right.
correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I figured. The crossing guard's there, and you have the school buses. That crossing guard could, you know, stop the traffic while the school buses have to enter. The school buses are not going in, and they're going in once in the morning, 3 buses, and once in the afternoon. It's not constant flow of school buses. They come in. They come actually a little early to grab the kids at the end of the school, and they're parked in front of the school. So it's not like at the same amount of time the school buses are going to go when a lot of the traffic is coming. And the school buses actually, I believe, when they leave the school, they take a right down to Revere Street. I don't think they take a left to go towards St. Anthony's, because most of them go towards Point of Pines. The Boulevard is where the school buses go to. So it's not like they're going to be taking a left to go up Revere Street towards Broadway. They're going to be taking a right out of the school parking lot. The only issue is when they're coming in, and it's 3 buses, and they're there, they come earlier in the afternoon. They don't come right when the kids are getting out. They're there earlier, that the crossing guard is there. There's not going to be traffic coming out of the parking lot because there's no kids yet coming out of the school. When the kids are coming out of the school, most of the kids are already, the buses are already there for the kids to go on. So it's not an issue if the buses are going to come. There's people going to be coming up the streets and everything.
Sergeant, you got something to add? Sergeant Janino?
I think if we're going to be changing around, we should look into possibly more crossing guards in that area to make it work out, if the council's willing to agree to that also. It can work out with the proper manpower down there.
So you're recommending an additional crossing guard be added to the September school year opening?
At least one more on the part of Revere School for the parking lot or the lights on
Okay.
Revere Street.
Okay. Any other proponents? Somebody wanting to come before us and express their opinion?
Okay. What if some parents now decide not to use the turnaround and they just go into Roosevelt Street and drop their kids off?
Well, we'd have to notify the school department, and they would police it themselves with the instructors they have outside. They generally will always have somebody outside.
Be certain hours. Do we have to request that that be posted, though? Or will it just be something that the guard is going to say? Yeah. The other thing is, I had brought it up last time and nothing happened. We have a serious parking problem at the corner of Cleveland Street. Last week, when we were pulling out of Cleveland Street, we lived down at the bottom of right there at the T. We were pulling out onto Revere Street. There was a car parked on Cleveland Street, halfway out into Revere Street. They park everywhere to use that convenience store. I mean, we can't get in and out of Cleveland Street safely. I mean,
No, take it.
thank you. Thank you.
Any other proponents? Mr. Maglione?
Yes. I am in favor of changing it back to the original design. And also for a safety issue, since this is safety, That double pole, I've asked several people to have it removed. It's an accident waiting to happen with the children coming by the top of that street. They've been working on it for over a year. But I think if it comes from maybe this board, maybe we can get it moved a little quicker. That's all.
Just point of information, Councilor Janino and myself offered it again when we had the telephone company, Mr. Yusufis from Verizon here Monday evening, and suggested they work on it again and make sure we get that pole. So we're going to get the pole number, which is the most important part of the process when they remove poles, and we will give it to Stan Yusufis from Verizon, and they will remove that pole.
Any other proponents? Seeing, hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing, open it up to opponents, people who are opposed to the change. Seeing, hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing and open it up to the members of the commission. Members of the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question. The other two streets, Cleveland and McKinley, are those one-way streets?
They're all two-way.
They're all two-way. So what would stop anybody who's dropping off their child from coming down one of those and then coming up Roosevelt?
Well, I think the real problem that the neighborhood is experiencing is, I'm sure you're going to have a straggler here and there just doing that. But I think when the school gets out and you have 30, 40 cars trying to exit the school at one time and invading the neighborhood, then the whole entire neighborhood is just backed up with cars.
Bear in mind, Mr. Chairman, bear in mind, every resident who's here this evening was part of the old Paul Revere school, so they experienced the same pains that were going on for years. Now we have a new school with a larger parking lot that was never there before. It was only a select few that's parked in the back before. They parked all over the neighborhood. Now it's a major problem compared to what it was before, because more cars are parking there. And if we can direct them out of there without infiltrating the neighborhood, we've made the neighborhood safer. And that's all we're looking for, is safety and a little cooperation from our neighbor, which is the Paul Revere School.
Thank you, Councilor.
You can get a bike lane over there. The chief wants to know if we get a bike lane there. I love those bike lanes all over Revere Street, Chief. Drives me crazy when I go down Revere Street.
You didn't express that the last time you were here.
No, it doesn't. It drives me crazy going down Revere Street.
Any other members, comments? Do I have a motion from a member of the commission?
Motion to withdraw Section 2, and it'll just and replace the sign with a right turn only sign.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to hear from the proponents, people who are in favor of putting stop signs on Crescent Avenue at Webster on Crescent Avenue. Seeing, hearing none, I'm going to close that side of the hearing and open it up to opponents. People who are opposed to stopping the traffic on Crescent Avenue at Webster.
My name is Philip Squitieri. I live at 201 Crescent Avenue, and I'm sure you recall we were here on January 31st, and we rehashed this whole thing, and it was approved that the one stop sign be removed.
Correct.
And I just happened to notice that this was being readdressed. It happened to catch my eye on the agenda. I just would like you to know that currently there is a pedestrian sign there. There's a crosswalk, and there's also another crosswalk that's just been added on Webster Street. And, I mean, I live this thing. I see it, I hear it, I'm right there on the corner. And my observation is that the pedestrian sign alone has slowed traffic down along with the crosswalk. I just don't see the need of one stop sign being put back.
Any other proponents, opponents, excuse me, of reinstalling that stop sign? Mr. Feely, be short, please.
You know, I can understand they're worried about the traffic. You know what I was thinking? Oh, I'm sorry. 208 Pearl Ave, Revere. But someday, I don't know if this is crazy, at the end of Crescent Avenue, Short Beach, or whatever we call it, you know, some places they put like from 7 to 9, one way. The reason people go to driving fast is because they got to go to work. And I'm not against the people in winter, but sometimes when they got to go to work and they fly up Crescent Avenue, it is a problem. So during them few hours, if they don't have a chance of taking that turn and they go down the beach to go to work, maybe they will slow down the traffic a little bit. Because when you have to go to work, a lot of times you're in a rush. That's when a lot of times the cars are flying up that street. The kids are going to school, 7 to 9. So maybe someday we could put a sign at the end saying, do not enter from 7 to 9. I mean, you can't stop all the traffic, but just to slow it down a little bit from all that traffic coming during the miles going to work. You know what I'm saying? It's just an idea. I'm sorry. It's just an idea to slow down the traffic. If they want to slow down the traffic, that might be one idea, just to one way from 7 to 9. You can't come up Crescent Ave.
Thank you for your input at this time, but presently we're speaking on the stop sign on Webster Street, Mr. Feely. So
Yeah,
I'm
sorry, but I'm still trying.
You're opposed to reinstalling the stop sign?
No stop signs.
All right,
We get
thank
enough
you,
in
Mr.
our
Feely.
lives right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Any other opponents? People who are wishing to leave it the way it is right now and not make the change? Okay, do I have a show of hands of the people in the audience who are opposed to reinstalling the stop sign, please? Okay, so it's quite apparent that everybody in the audience this evening is opposed to reinstalling the stop sign. So hearing no more opponents, I'll open it up to members of the commissions. Members of the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Sergeant Janino what stop signs there are at that intersection.
There's 2 on Webster.
At the last meeting, we approved the ones on Webster for Crescent Avenue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, somebody just put up the stop sign on
Correct.
Crescent, right?
Right.
It wasn't us.
This originally came about by a stop sign appearing one night
Yeah.
on Crescent Avenue, Webster, in one direction.
Because
I'm going to recommend to the commission that we don't address this again unless it's brought to us by the Beachmont Neighborhood Committee. They have a group of people down there. Let them bring it to their committee first, and then have them put it to us again, because it keeps going back and forth on us here.
And what if this person puts the stop sign up again? Which is, I mean,
we'll take it down.
okay. I mean, just because it appears to be official when they do put it up, even though it was only about 4 foot high. Yeah.
My comments are that, I understand, maybe what this person is trying to get at, but we've been over this and over this and over this for the last 2 or 3 years that I'm aware of. And I think the fact that with the people at night, it's still a quiet street in the evening. I think Mr. Feely is correct, stating that the larger amounts of traffic is traveled during the commute when people are going to and from work. But in the evening, it's still a quiet type neighborhood, family residences, and to have cars stop in front of your house every time at that stop sign, put on the brakes, hit the gas, put the gun on, I think that can get as disturbing and more of a nuisance than some one or two people during the course of the day that might be speeding. So in the interest of quality of life for the people that live on the street, I'm going to vote to make sure that stop sign is not reinstalled at that corner.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Sergeant Giannino. Sergeant, have we ever posted a traffic monitor on that street?
Yes, I have traffic surveys at the station. I don't have one right now, though.
It wasn't that bad. No. We had some high numbers during the commuter tour, but the speeding wasn't really real bad. Yeah.
I didn't think we had really high speeding. I know the traffic volume is heavy, but I didn't think we had a lot of excessive speed there. So maybe we can have a look at that.
I think we looked also at the number of accidents that had taken place, and I don't think we found any that, at that intersection. So, any other members wishing to make a comment? Do I have a motion from members of the commission to oppose this amendment and leave it as it is with no stop sign at Webster Street?
Motion to leave it as.
Second? Aye. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It will stay the way it presently exists. Okay, thank you. At this time, do I have a motion to adjourn? What we got? I only got one. Give me two. You got one page. You short-handed me. Okay, you want to give me a top sheet? Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, let me, we're going to go to item number 5. What are you guys here for? Okay. Item number 5 is Schedule 6 of Title 10 of Heavy Commercial Vehicles Restricted Streets. What do you want to do? They're number 8? Okay, number 7. We'll take up item number 7 since the people are here from the audience. This is Schedule 1 of Title 10, parking penalties by adding Group D fine, $50, parking of any bus, taxi cab, hackney, pupil, or livery vehicle upon any street other than at a taxi stand. Okay, at this time I will open it up to proponents, people who are in favor of this change in Title 10.
Definitely all for it. The Boston Taxi, sorry,
name
Mike
and
Carter,
address,
882 Winthrop Ave. The Boston Taxi problem's out of hand. You know, I definitely think something should be done. But myself, as a Revere cab owner, I'm just afraid I'm going to park somewhere and go get a slice of pizza. My cab is not only my cab, it's my car. I'm afraid I'm going to be ticketed. You know, I go through great pains not to park on the street, but I'm just afraid during the course of shopping or something, I'll wind up with a ticket. And I definitely think something, I'm so glad you guys are taking action on the Boston cabs.
I think the point here is that we are trying to do something about the Boston cabs and livery services. Do you park off the street at night, Mike?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm just afraid.
I understand.
By chance, I'll stop somewhere.
And the reason for this is just some neighborhoods are just being buried with cabs.
Beachmont is awful.
You know, there's a couple of sections in Beachmont and up around the Northgate Shopping Center area where you may have somebody that is leasing or owns 5 or 6 of those cars, and it's not only a problem for the cabs parking overnight, but their employees come there and they park and they take up the parking. So if there's not
they
a
ship
cab
the
there,
cab off the
there's,
street.
There's, you know, an employee parking in front of somebody's house, so people who live there can't park in front of the house. So I think the intent was to eliminate the people from trying to use Boston, because obviously they want to get to the airport and they want to do business in Boston, but they're creating problems in the neighborhoods around the community. So that's what the intent is. I don't think there's any intent to target local businesses. This is just something to try to control the influx of outside cab companies that are coming in and just utilizing our streets as a place of doing business. They're not actually doing business in the community. They're just using it for parking and businesses. As members Stringy and Nystrom will tell you, there isn't a week that doesn't go by that we don't have people come into our site plan review looking to operate a livery or a taxi business out of their home. And we no longer allow that. And so they're looking, we suggest that they do just like you guys have to do, get a commercial place of residence to operate their business out of. So that's what we've been doing. And I know the police department's been cracking down. So everybody's trying to do their part here to make it easier on the local cab companies to do business. So that's what the intent of this is. And this is just not something to protect the cab businesses. This is also a quality of life issue for the people that live in the neighborhoods where these outsiders are coming in, parking 6 and 7 cabs, 6 and 7 employees, regular cars, and then when people come home from work, they got to walk 2-3 blocks to get to their home because there's no place to park in front of their own. So this is the first step in doing that. It may take another step at some point. This is an interim trial basis type of thing because, as you know, if they don't get a ticket every day, I mean, it might be something that, and the cost of doing business in Boston may cost them $1,000, $2,000 a month to rent a piece of property. They might be willing to take this $50 ticket as a cost of doing business. So we don't know how that's going to play out, but this is the first step in trying to eliminate those cabs from utilizing the streets of Revere for their own personal parking lots.
I just want to be clear, though, as it stands, there's no exemption for us.
No.
That if we park on the street,
No, I don't, you can't, but I'm sure that the officers
are aware
are
of
aware
what's
of
a
the
cab.
fact that it's going to happen and are not going to target local businesses, especially businesses that have business certificates within the community.
Okay, thank you.
Just to be clear, as it stands right now, there's no parking for any taxi, livery, bus, pupil at any time per order of the last changes we made in the ordinances. We didn't get an exemption for the locals. It was put in as it was. Exemption for putting in.
Can we legally?
That's what we tried to do last time. We tried to make an exemption for cars excise, that paid excise taxes in the city of Revere, but would discriminate against the other cars.
And I think it went to this.
No taxi cabs. We tried to change the ordinance over at the March 28th meeting, I believe it was. Section 7, March 28th meeting. We tried to get an exemption in there for the cars licensed out of Revere, but it wasn't approved on there. It's still held out right now.
It was not approved?
It's still over our heads on it. They're supposed to go through as it was written up.
In the original or no?
We tried to put the exemption in, but it wasn't approved yet. They're still holding it up.
By who?
To try to see if it's legal or not.
The solicitor.
The solicitor still has it?
Yeah, because we discussed this before.
Right.
And we wanted it to go before the solicitor.
At the last, Richard Picardi, 89 Revere Street. At the last meeting, it was stated that it was going to go in front of the solicitor, because I don't believe selective enforcement is legal. I'm not an attorney. I don't know how it can be You know, you could put an exemption in there or something, but I just like Mr. Carter stated, someone steps out for a piece of pizza, parks on Broadway, Papa Jack's, they don't want to come and get a ticket. They eat at these eateries during lunch, and we don't want to receive a ticket. We employ a lot.
How let me just say, I mean, years ago when I was younger, I drove a cab for a little while, and I remember if you went into another community, you couldn't park on the side street or pick up a fare or do anything that you'd get $1,000 fine from the city of Boston
If you
got
picked
caught
up
picking up
soliciting,
if
if
you
you called,
picked up
you
a
can
fare, or even you pull over to sit down and have a lunch or something. What are you doing here? They'd always come by and say, move this thing along. I mean, it was quite a long time ago, but I mean, why is it that they enforce things on keeping the city of Boston local, and we can't do that here in Revere? I don't understand.
There's a law that states if you're not licensed by the city of Boston, you cannot solicit in the streets.
Right.
Or if you are called to an address by the city from somebody in Boston,
Right.
you can't pick up there. Just can't solicit in the streets.
Okay.
But this is going to cause, my fear is all our employees, if they step out at an eatery, either on the beach, Broadway, wherever it may be, stop at their home to use the bathroom, they come out, they get a ticket. That's my only concern.
So you think we should table this?
Other than that, I agree with Boston Cabs abusing the streets and the neighborhoods in the city.
Yeah. Okay. My opinion is I think we should probably vote this fine into effect and wait for a ruling on the city solicitor as to how to enforce it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sound good? Because I think
I mean, as far as the traffic division at the station, we normally don't bother our own companies, knowing that they do live in the city, they do go home, they do eat. And if they're away for a minute during the daytime hours, don't bother them. During the nighttime hours, if they're parked for extended period of times on the street and overnight, we will tag the local companies.
let's see, just for clarification, Mike, so you know, is that the way it would be enforced is the local police officers are not out looking to do something, but if they go by an address and that cab is parked in front of a house overnight or parked in front of an establishment and it's unmanned for a number of hours, then they will ticket it.
That ordinance is already in place,
Okay.
no parking, taxis, or liveries
Right.
overnight in the
Overnight.
city. This
Correct.
was an amendment that I believe Councilor Penta had brought up due to a problem in Beachmont, which I wholeheartedly agree with. We just need to find a way to address it where it doesn't come down on 80 employees of the cities per se. Okay, thank you again.
All right, thanks.
And
Members
just-
of the commission?
If I can make one more point, I know I'm going overboard here, but in the summer, on a slow Monday, Tuesday night, I'll have guys that won't make $50 the whole night. So if they get a ticket, they're not going to be able to pay it. It's going to wind up. Sorry to.
No.
Yeah, we're sympathetic to your concerns, and we'll take, every effort we can to avoid that. But we can't, selectively enforce. It's,
I'm going to make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
second.
All those in favor? Aye, the ayes have it. Okay, so that's item number 7. Okay. Item number 5 is Schedule 6 of Title 10, Heavy Commercial Vehicles, Restricted Streets by adding Central Ave from Broadway to Beach Street in both locations, in both directions, excuse me. This came out of an incident that continuously happens at the corner of Central Ave and Broadway at the bank, where large trailer trucks have a tendency to try to cut the corner because there's only one lane there, and they're constantly taking out the traffic signalization and the bollards. As the custodian who's in charge of taking care of this area, and I know Gene's right across the street, he experiences all the time, I've replaced this pole several times in the last 3 years. So this is a problem. I don't know if this is the answer to eliminating that. In a temporary fashion, it would be. Maybe if we had some different, and I'd have to look at the loops, if there was line realignment on Central Ave so that the cars would have there's 2 lanes coming down Central Ave onto Broadway and 1 coming off of Broadway onto Central Ave. If you see, because some go left, some go right.
Most of these trucks that are hit
at night,
for the most part. No, not during the day.
Yeah.
But they're coming out of a business on Foster Street.
Right. So we would want to direct them down to the circle and let them go out onto the Parkway. Or
I know the T has some proposals over there also for the end of that Central Avenue. Frank, do you remember exactly what the proposal was for Central Avenue coming out of there?
Yeah, going to eliminate the last stop on Central Avenue right at Beach, and they're going to maintain the one right in front of the bank. Yeah, well, you'll have 2 lanes now coming. You'll be able to have a right-hand turn lane onto Beach and then go straight, because the elimination of that bus stop there. But in the other direction, everything else stays the same.
You can't go. What if we limit it to commercial vehicles over 26,001 pound? Which are Class B vehicles are bigger. Gives you local trucks can have access to it still.
Why don't you live? I think the bigger problem is the number of axles that are on the truck. Maybe if you will allow a 6-wheeler, anything over 6 wheels, that might be a better approach, because I think a big triaxle or a big box truck that had 10 wheels on it would have difficulty making that corner as well. I don't think it's just trailers, because the trailers, obviously they're 40, 50 feet long, but you get a 35, 40-foot box truck with a stiff rear axle, and, I think they would have the same problem. So you either restrict all trucking over 26.1, yeah, that would be the way to go.
This way here, all your local delivery companies, the smaller trucks with the class.
They still go down, yeah, with a class.
The licenses.
It's not required CDL license, right.
They can still access the road.
Right. And obviously, if they have a delivery on that road, they have the right to do so anyway, as long as they have a slip to demonstrate that they have a delivery on Central Ave. So.
Restrict the eastbound traffic and allow the westbound traffic, where there's no problem westbound at this time?
Is that what you're asking for, Frank? Just one way or both ways?
This comes through the council to see it from that accident.
Right.
But I'm thinking, we haven't had any problems going westbound at all. If we restrict the eastbound traffic, just for status, see what happens.
Yeah, eastbound only, so from Broadway to Beach Street only, not from Beach Street to Broadway.
Restricted to eastbound only, is that the proposal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, ayes, the ayes have it. Item number 5. Item number 6 is Schedule 11 of Title 10, Handicapped Persons Parking, hereby adding 19 Essex Street. I know there's been a problem with this. Officers, have you looked into?
I went by there. The driveway is not wide enough for a vehicle or handicap spot. I'm recommending that we approve this motion.
Well, I can tell you that prior to the opening of the new James J. Hill School, there will be a request before us to make that a two-way from Broadway to Fernwood Place, because that's going to be an exit and entrance to the new school. So you can do what you want with this, but eventually it's going to be changed to two-way within the next 2 years, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be my preference not to condition people to have one way all the way. Keep it the way it is.
All right.
Consider the adoption of resident parking during the evening hours on both Page and Olive Streets. Council read and requested the Commission hold a public hearing so that the residents will be allowed input on this issue. I move this time we order to a public hearing. All those in favor, aye. The ayes have it. And number two, Rose Colonino requests a handicap parking sign be placed at 24 Larkin Street. Council Gino, is this the first request?
The request needs to go to public hearing and needs to go before the Handicap Affairs.
Okay. Order this for a public hearing and to Handicapped Affairs. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. We have a motion to adjourn. What do you want? No, they're mine. No, you gave them to me.